recording and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with Facundo Suarez. And this is the first episode of the podcast. We don't have a name for it yet, but
We'll find it.
We'll get there. We'll make it happen.
By next one, I'm pretty sure we'll have a name, a pretty good name.
Yeah.
And some other stuff, whether it's like a logo or whatever.
Yeah, it's all in the process, but we are super excited for starting this, and yeah, so here we are. Facundo, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Let's see. I'm an immigrant. That's one thing. Don't judge me for that. I feel like a lot of people kind of do once they find out that I'm not from this land. Like the mood kind of changes in a way. Things get a little more tense for some reason. I guess people just aren't comfortable with that. And then I guess in the past couple of years, the whole thing with Trump and all that, and I feel like there's been a lot of this kind of darkness towards immigrants and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't know. I don't have all the information to really have an opinion on it. But yeah, I am from Uruguay. I was born there. I moved to the States when I was about 5. This was 2001 in July, so a couple months before 9/11, and I remember that happening, and it was a real shock to everybody, really. I mean, I lived in a neighborhood where it was a bunch of apartments, and just seeing the adults kind of panicking and being really tense. It was oh wow, it was just, I don't know. It gave me this feeling of okay, this is how things are. Things like this happen, so I'm gonna have to just deal with this for the rest of my life.
Right.
Things like this happening, just super extreme and just emotions everywhere. People, kind of running around, I guess, in a way. And yeah, that was a very interesting moment, man. I just got to the States, and I thought that's what this part of the world was.
The norm.
Yeah. So I wasn't affected in that moment. I wasn't affected in a very intense way. I just kind of thought okay, this is how it is,
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came to middle school, and I started kind of looking back, and then at school, they were telling us about it, kind of going back and remembering and everything. I'm like, damn, I can't believe this really happened.
Right.
And seeing it with that kind of perspective, being older, it was really intense, man. And yeah, man, that's crazy, man. I can't believe that happened still.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things where people who were alive and conscious and aware at that time will remember for the rest of their lives. I mean, I remember my experience. I was in first grade when it happened, and I remember where I was. I wasn't even living in Florida. I lived in Puerto Rico at the time, and I remember just looking at the TV. It was like a really small TV, and just looking at the news and stuff like that. And it's I think Tony Robbins talks about it, where it's experiences like that we remember, and it's because they're so dramatic and tragic. Everyone remembers 9/11. No one really remembers what happened in 8/11 of that year. 8/11.
What happened?
Nothing. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
What happened, bro? I missed something.
I mean, what did you do the month before that day?
I don't even know.
The day, where were you?
I was eating some ice cream somewhere.
Probably.
Riding a bike, man. I used to ride bikes a lot.
Yeah.
So I was probably doing that, going downhill, cutting my leg or my foot. That happened. It was pretty dramatic. Traumatic,
Traumatic. Yeah, right.
It was both.
Right. So you came here at the age of 5, which was what year?
2001.
2001.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Or I was just turning 5 that year. I think I was turning 6 that year.
Okay,
I don't want to do that.
gotcha.
But yeah.
No, I got you.
Guesstimate.
Right, and then so you came here, and then 9/11 happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then after that, you know, I think we can move on to like, okay, 9/11 happened, and then tell us a little bit more.
I was in Atlanta at the time,
Mhm.
and I mean, Atlanta was great. Learning English for me, it came really fast.
Mhm.
Like I learned it really, really quick, and that's not just from like taking ESOL classes or ESOL classes, we
Right.
call it over here, but just being around like, you know, the culture really, like the music had a lot to play into that, into, you know, me learning the language really quick.
Yeah.
Movies, of course, video games, all that kind of stuff, just the whole culture.
Mm-hmm.
So I grasped it really, really quick.
Really quickly.
And Atlanta, man, Atlanta in general was just really fun. It was really fun. It was a lot of like being outside, playing around. I feel like our generation was kind of like the last that to really have that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of moved into more into video games, and then smartphones coming into, you know, our lives in
Yeah.
maybe middle school, maybe. And that definitely switched up the whole thing, man.
Mhm.
Because now, at least for me, man, like, and that happened when I moved to Florida, and when that happened, especially like the area that I was living at, it was nothing but like houses, nothing but neighborhoods. Nobody really went outside much, you know what I mean? So, you know, I felt like I was kind of like stuck in the house, and just had like video games to play, man, and then just being on my smartphone, social media, and all that, and that definitely is an addiction, man, for sure. Me being honest about it, like I can definitely feel it being an addiction. But it's just another tool, man, that you can use for good, really good, for business to promote, you know, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, man. Yeah, so dude, we would play like football outside. It'd be like street football, street baseball, where we kind of like made our own rules in a way. You know, that's when I started skateboarding, so I did a lot of skating during that time. In Atlanta, we used to go to like the Candy Lady. You know, that was like a thing. It was like a lot of different candy ladies, right?
Okay.
And what that was, it was
Sugar mom.
it was these women, right? These ladies who would have like in their house or like in their backyard, like a shed. Like this one lady, she had a shed, and she sold everything from like candy to like condoms to like BB guns to like pellets, like all sorts of stuff, man. And she sold it for low, man. So like that's where like we used to go to like get candy. You know, at the time we would just get candy. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if we stayed like living there, like during my middle school years and high school years, man, I would have known where to get some like weed,
Right.
all that extra stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was pretty interesting, man. Like it's really cool. It was kind of like something that only kind of like the neighborhood knew. It was like a neighborhood thing in a way, I guess.
Okay.
And yeah, man, just so different, man. When I moved over here to Florida, things were dramatically different from the weather, how the weather was affecting me in a way, because it's just like the humidity, and it was just so hot. And from that to like the people like at school, I definitely felt a lot of tension. Like coming to Florida, going to school in Florida, man, going to grade middle school, like it felt like a lot of division, man. In Georgia, it was more of, at least the area where I lived in, it was more of like if you had a problem with somebody, it was like an individual thing. There wasn't really like cliques, groups, and gangs and stuff like that. Well, I mean, when I was in 6th grade, which is my last year in Georgia, I did start to like see gangs kind of like come in, you know what I mean? Like gangs weren't that big in Atlanta during that time or before that time. But I remember seeing a lot of like Bloods, people throwing gang signs, drawings on the bus of like, you know, like the star and like just all the symbolism and all that. So I seen like I started kind of seeing that, but it never like came to me. I was never attracted to it really, you know.
Okay.
But over here in Florida, man, it just a lot of tension, man. Like you had a lot of different. Everybody was kind of like in groups, you know. And I don't like using like colors, but like white people and black people and Hispanics, they were kind of like, you know. And then you had your individuals who would like just chill with everybody, you know what I mean? But it definitely felt like people were more comfortable with like their own people, you know what I mean? But then you still had like subgroups, you know, like your goth, kind of like skater kids. You kind of have like your I don't know if I want to say rednecks, but rednecks.
No,
I guess.
rednecks. Again, like I don't. Like that's just like a term. Like I don't want to say redneck because like
I don't want to offend nobody.
I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't want to offend anybody, but
just southern people that like to go muddy and hunting.
Right.
A lot of camo.
Wear camo.
Yeah. That was like their own like group clique.
Right.
You know, doing dip and all that. So that was just like another like kind of clique, another group. And yeah, it was just weird, man. I felt a lot of tension, and I remember like the first year, there was this thing where it was like, oh, there's like a war, there's like a race war going on, and there was gonna be all like the black people or the white people, and then like the Hispanics versus whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember that happening, man. I remember like talking to my brother about it, like, yo, this is kind of crazy, man. Like this is insane. And I don't know the history of this place, man. I don't know the history of like Groveland and Claremont, so I don't know exactly what's, you know.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know like the you know, the power structure, I guess, or I don't know. But that was totally a shock for me, and for me it was kind of hard to express myself coming from Atlanta, man, because you know, growing up in Atlanta, I kind of had like an accent, man. You know what I mean? Like I kind of like lived in the hood. You know what I mean? So like I kind of had like an accent and just like slang that I would like speak with. And I remember a lot of times I'd get people be like, "Oh man, you trying to act black? Like why are you trying to act black?"
Right,
you know?
right, yeah.
And it's like, man, what are you talking about? Like this is how I speak. I didn't get it. You know, I didn't understand it. But that's something that I had to come to grips with. The fact that it's different, even though it's like the same country, it's a different like. The different land, it has a different type of history.
Yeah. Even in Puerto Rico's so small. Puerto Rico fits in Florida, like that's how big it is, and just having people from different parts of Puerto Rico, they like a certain food, they have a different name for it, and it's so small that you would think everyone would call the food the same name. They don't. It's like my girlfriend, she calls ice cream a certain name in Spanish, and I have a different name for it.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
what do you call it?
I call it mantecado.
I think I called it helado.
That's what she calls it.
Yeah, helado.
But yeah, for her, mantecado is a flavor of ice cream.
Mantecado.
For me, mantecado is just ice cream.
Yeah, I don't know about like Uruguayan. I think manteca is like butter.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
other
yeah,
than that, I don't know
yeah.
about mantecado. It sounds like I don't know, some flavor or something.
That's what I grew up with. And then shoelace, I think, is it shoelace? We call it gavete. And then they call it cordon.
Yeah, that's what we call it too. Yeah, cordon.
Right. Yeah. So it's just interesting how such a small place could have diversity, and I think that's having diversity is good, you know, because like if everything's the same, then it's just like
it's boring, bro. Boring. Everything's like plain and like, you know, if everything was black and white, that'd be kind of boring. Yeah. Like the movies in like the 40s and all that. That's kind of like, it's kind of hard to watch those sometimes. Yeah. It's kind of like, man, it's kind of boring.
It's boring. Yeah. It's just like one line of just boring.
You gotta have diversity, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like things are getting more diverse now, man.
Yeah.
But it's cool how like. It's cool how that is in Puerto Rico in itself, because like you said, it's such a small place, and it's really interesting how like Latinos, they all have like, it's the same language, but it's they have different small like words for different things, And that's really interesting, man. And I was wondering, like, kind of where does that come from? Does that come from maybe like the indigenous people, right? Because a lot of the times, like, I feel like when the conquistadors came, you know, they try to, like, I feel like, learn as much as they could from the land, and they have to learn it from the indigenous people. So they would have certain words, and they would just call that whatever that is.
Right. So for that, I think it's just like you have the first people that came here, right? And then when you have people spread out, like you have people in one section that came, let's say, just to Florida, right? And they started at Florida, but then they went to, you know, North Carolina, they went to Georgia and all that stuff. So like just spreading out, that's when you have, it's a different environment. I guess you're exposed to different things, meaning that it's just different. And
just
then
pick up on different things.
It's just, you just pick up on different, it's like, why don't we all speak the same language? Right? Like, if we all came from one, like, being, right? If we all came from, like, being humans, right? Or being primates, and we all started talking, like, Ugumaga. Yeah, right? And then why don't we have that language now? Why is there Mandarin? Why is there Spanish? Why is there English? Why is there Latin? Because I think it's part of life. It's like something that just naturally happens. Like, I think in the future, Spanglish might be a thing where it's an actual language.
Okay, yeah. Because it already is. It definitely already is.
Yeah. But like to be
it'll be
recognized. Yeah, like, to be its own thing, like to be recognized like an actual language, I think it would probably happen in the future.
And they both come from Latin, right? I think.
Well,
I don't know.
English, I think English, I'm not sure. Okay. I know Spanish is, and English, I think there's a lot of words that come from Latin. I think a lot of language come from Latin.
I think a lot of the English words come from like a Germanic, like Germany, like that area. It comes from, I think, like English, the English language. Yeah. I'm not sure.
We definitely have to do our homework.
Yeah. Do our, like, I don't know that much about that.
Right, I don't.
But if everybody humanity came out of Africa, or whether it was Pangea, maybe even, like, if it goes that far back, I don't even know. You know what I mean? It is kind of like, how did the first community, first tribe or something like that, you know, what kind of language were they speaking, and them humans expanding to different parts of the planet, how could that have influenced the language?
Yeah, and then you start thinking about, like, alright, so I was reading Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within, right? And he explains in the book about our keyboards, right? Our keyboards, it's the QWERTY, right?
Yep.
So you would think this would be spread out in the best way possible to type, like, efficiently, but it's actually the opposite.
Yeah, everywhere, all over the place.
This was actually made to slow down writers.
Really?
Because it was made whenever typewriters existed, right?
Yeah.
And then back in the day, if you wrote too fast, the typewriter would break, and you would have to, like, fix it. So if you wrote too fast, so they came up with the QWERTY, and the QWERTY was designed to slow down the writer.
That's hilarious. That's funny.
Right? So here we have the QWERTY, and we have a typewriter, right? And then it's made to slow down people whenever they write. There was a contest between an actual efficient way to type, and a guy who wrote with the QWERTY. The thing is, the guy memorized every single letter, so he won the contest. He won the typing contest.
The guy with the QWERTY?
The guy who memorized the QWERTY, right? And based off of that, they started just developing everything off of the QWERTY because the guy won it, but they didn't realize that he memorized the keyboard.
Yes.
If you memorize a keyboard, you're bound to win just because, like, you know it by heart.
So you just
Right,
It's
but
all
it's
that
not.
muscle memory and
It's not the most efficient way. So then you have to think back, like, all right, so it's kind of like an error, I guess you would say, because if you want efficiency, then you would want to switch your keyboards around. But then you start thinking about like things like that, like how many things could be more efficient
to you.
to,
To humanity.
to humanity.
Yeah, to humanity.
Right?
Yeah.
But where you just haven't maybe asked the question like, why is this like this? Or how could this be better?
A lot of people don't know the history of certain things.
Right. And then
And just kind of go along with it.
they
They don't
kind of
think
go
about
along with
like taking it to the next level, right?
Yeah, where it originated from, even medicine, like you start thinking about like the types of pills, insulin, that you would like have to do research. Why are you gonna insert insulin in someone else's body? Maybe because at a certain time, like people were eating a certain way, right? And then they had to inject insulin in order to help. But we all know, like, if you start injecting insulin, you're pretty much bound to raise the dose and be dependent on insulin, right? So doing the research, like, why it all started. So maybe insulin isn't the solution. Maybe the solution is the way you were eating.
Yeah.
So
instead of taking something else to like kind of try to fix.
Instead of fixing the symptom, going to the source.
Yeah. Hit the root problem. And then you won't have all this crazy side effects and all this. You just kind of like slowly like ruining your body and your mind too. I mean, all that. Wow.
Yeah. And in my class, they talk about this thing for healthcare where they have doctors, right, and then they have like nurses and all that stuff, right? And then think about it as a river, and then people are falling off of a waterfall at the end of the river, and then the doctors are the ones like rescuing people at the end of the waterfall, right? And then you have people like a personal doctor or something like that, which would be in the middle, and then you have people who go to the source and ask, why is there people falling into the river, and just stop them from falling into the river.
That's a brilliant way to put it.
Yeah, and then that way you just don't have people falling at all.
Yeah.
You don't have to like have people down here and just put people.
Wow, man, that's something that I've been thinking about is what can I do for myself? Like, what's my best way to train or to learn? You know what I mean?
Right.
Some people learn visually better. Some people need like a teacher. Some people do it with books, and that's easier. You know, they can highlight certain things and all that. So I've been kind of trying to find my way of like what's the most efficient way to like learn. You know what I mean? And kind of unlearn too, because a lot of stuff you kind of just you don't need it in your life. It's kind of getting in the way and all that. So that's really interesting, man. I feel like I'm a visual person for sure. Yeah, I have like post-it notes like on my wall from everything from like ideas that I've written down to ideas that I've drawn out, for like the future and all that. So that really helps me a lot. And I started doing that recently, man, a couple months ago. And I can see that evolving into something else. Eventually getting better tools, instead of post-it notes, get like a board or something like that, and kind of building from there. Kind of like, what's it called when people have like a billboard and they're trying to figure out something like a mystery, something like maybe like cops, right? Like, and they have like a line drawn.
Right, yeah.
Like something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like artificial intelligence, man, is kind of getting to that point where it is that for you, in a way. The different algorithms. If you're like searching something up on Google, like a certain product, you're probably gonna go on YouTube later or Facebook, whatever, and you're probably gonna see an ad for it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like that happens
That's
a lot.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. And it's like I can see it in the future as it being like an Iron Man, like that AI that talks to you. You know what I mean? You can talk to it, you can understand it. And I mean, there's a whole thing about like microchip like going in your head. I think that's starting next year, I believe, in 2020. I think Elon Musk, it's called Neuralink.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure he has a chip in his head already, man. I mean, come on, like.
Right.
if you're building that technology and it's coming out like soon, you know, he probably already has that.
And that's actually in the Bible.
Yeah, like the mark of the beast, right? I've heard that. And I was at a park recently, man, and this guy came up to me, man, and you know, he wanted to talk about Jesus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had multiple people do that to me, come up to me, and a lot of times, man, I'll talk to them, bro, all the time, because like these people, man, they want to connect. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, what I notice, they'd be like, yeah, I know, like I know about Jesus,
Yeah.
I know, and then just walk away, whatever. And dude, I was talking to him, bro, and that the subject came up. He's like, yeah, man, you heard about like the mark of the beast? He's like, that's happening. And I was like, man, I don't even know what you're talking about this. And then he was like, yeah, dude, like, you want to hear something really trippy? You know, I was like, nah, man. But yeah, dude, like that's crazy, man. That's really crazy, and I don't know what to think about it, man. Really, because I don't know. Like nowadays, there's so much information out there that a lot of times, or sometimes, you kind of don't know like what to believe or what to, you know, what you want to believe. I guess it's up to
we'll believe to adapt.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I feel like that mark of that chip, I feel like it might trap people. Like it might trap their souls. You know what I mean?
Just like how social media, I think, is trapping a lot of people. That might be just a way, man. If you have technology in you, then you have no way to escape it. Because then they have control over you. Because it's all based on a signal from an outside source who can control what's in you.
And you might not even want it out because you can't have that thought of wanting it out or that feeling of like wanting it out.
This is fucking scary.
Yeah, it's definitely like sinister. It has this sinister like vibe to it that it's kind of like, man, like what's gonna happen? You know what I mean? Like where are things going? And I feel like these people, they're gonna have a certain type of power in a way because they'll be able to control certain things. You know, they can kind of see like a certain algorithm, right? And be able to control like a chessboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without people even knowing, you know what I mean? And I don't know, dude, that might already be happening. I feel like it kind of is in a way. Like if you get like deep into like conspiracies, you know, you really start to like kind of see like, all right, this is like about good and evil. Like this is what this is about. You know what I mean? And you know, a lot of times you can kind of like fall into certain traps. You know what I mean? Or certain like, I don't know if I want to say like spirits. You know, but I'll say certain habits, for example. You know, if you're around somebody, man, for a certain amount of time, you can pick up on their lingo, you know, and that's a very small, subtle thing, you know, that you might not even like notice.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pick up on their habits and all that kind of stuff, and you're kind of letting that spirit, whatever that is, right, slowly get into your life, you know, and you might not even be aware of it. You might not even know. And I experienced, man, some, you know, stuff like that, man. When it comes to drugs, I never got deep into drugs, you know what I mean? But I've done something that like I would never do again,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Like, why did I do that, you know? Because I was around this person, we were in this environment, you know? And yeah, a lot of people just hanging around or being around certain people that I thought I was helping or that I wanted to help, but they kind of like take advantage of that, you know. That's one thing like we gotta be more, or at least I should be more aware of, is who I have around in my life, because a lot of these people, they just want to like suck your energy. A lot of these people, man, they just want to just drain you, man, just use you, but not in a good way, not in an uplifting way. It's usually for their benefit. And usually their benefit, it's not something that's for the good of mankind or the good of the planet. I'll say that, you know. Usually it's about greed, I think. Greed, money, control as well. A lot of people will do certain things in order to get you under their control. And I notice a lot of people will do very, very subtle things, and sometimes it can be kind of, I don't want to say hard to pick up, but kind of hard to believe that it's happening, that you're being manipulated. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's something that I kind of dealt with recently, for sure. And I feel like money plays a huge part in it because, you know, a lot of people, at least in like the industry of like music, it's just like mostly shady people, very, very shady people who only care about the money, but they always seem to have this like kind of sinister like thing to them they try to keep like as a secret, you know what I mean? And a lot of times you can kind of see through it, you know, like, okay, this guy, I can tell he doesn't have good intentions. He's not very bright, so I shouldn't be around this person. I shouldn't take any advice from this person, right? Because he's just trying to like control me in some kind of way, man. And recently I was talking to this dude, and we were talking about art, about the art that I do, because I'm an artist. I enjoy painting, drawing, anything of that sort. It's really fun. I also play music. I'm a musician. I'm a guitar player. That's what I do. I play guitar, but I mean, I can sing as well, and I can rap sometimes, depending on like the mood, depending on the music. And yeah, the subject of art came up, and we were talking about my art, and this guy's like, yeah, man, but just stick to the art, you know what I mean? Don't focus on the business aspect of it because, man, you don't want to deal with it, you know? And, you know, I was just kind of like, whatever about it, and kind of just like walked away. There was really no closure to it because at that point of our like relationship, there was nothing for me to say to really uplift this person because there was no point. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just like, all right, this person's like draining my energy. I can feel it. I can see it. You know what I mean? The way that he's talking, the stuff that he's saying. So I don't remember the point that I was getting at, but you know, him telling me not to focus on the business aspect of it, it kind of like showed me like, all right, this guy's he's not trying to help me for sure.
Right.
Definitely not trying to help. Even if this person says, oh, you're worth this much, whatever, you know, I can tell that I was trying to be controlled in a very subtle way, you know what I mean? That eventually could have turned into something worse.
Yeah.
You know, once you get contracts involved and all that kind of stuff, and the rights to the music, and who put in what in, who contributed to it, and all this other stuff, man. And I noticed that some of like this guy's people, they were kind of like in that same wave, you know what I mean? It's dark, man, dark, really. And like I heard about it before, man. I heard about the music industry being dark and all that. And I've always kind of been like on my guard to really detect any kind of stuff that I wouldn't be comfortable with, you know? Yeah, usually it's about controlling the artist, all about money and all that kind of stuff. And once like you're not useful anymore, they kind of just throw you out. And usually it's like they give you kind of this budget, and they don't give you like the information about like stuff you gotta pay for, the studio time, the sessions, the people you gotta bring in, your own equipment. You know what I mean? Like, do you need equipment? Do you have your own equipment? Do you have like a ride? How about the food? You know, just small stuff like that. And it's crazy, dude. But I'm really glad that I experienced what I experience now. You know what I mean? Because it really goes to show like, okay, like I'm not in like the big leagues,
right?
But I can already tell this is how it is.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, man. It's crazy, you know. But I definitely have people who support me, who have my back, you know, who believe in me. And really, man, I've just been kind of like praying to have the right people into my life, you know. And dude, I met a lot of great people, man. And recently I met this girl who's a vocalist, and she's super awesome, man, and like her writing style is like really dope. So I plan on creating with her. So I don't have like a full band yet, you know, I don't have anything super solid, but I definitely have ideas, a lot of different ideas for albums, songs, music videos, and all that kind of stuff. But I know that's gonna like all come together because I met a lot of different artists, man. I met a lot of different artists who do all sorts of stuff, man. So I think just having the community, you know, kind of like building our own thing with the community here in Claremont, or Lake County in general. I think it's like a huge thing. That's a big thing because I feel like this could be a platform for any artist, you know, and of course any other kind of thing, you know, involving business and business, fitness, and
I definitely want to use this to help other people, just because like the benefit of social media is that it's like a magnifying glass, right? Like a really huge magnifying glass where you could be in anywhere in the world and the whole world can look at you and see what you're doing. And this could be, you know, a pretty good magnifying glass for other people. Also, like, there's just so many things to talk about, so many things to put out there, and like have people see other people's perspectives and just listen to good information. And I also wanted to say, like, as you were talking, I think for anyone starting out with anything, like you could be an artist, you could be a social media influencer, you could be anything, any barista, you could be a teacher, anything. I think you are responsible for your own success. So what I mean by that is, like, if you may not have a manager, so it's your responsibility to figure out, like, okay, where can I go to showcase my art? Where can I go to develop my speaking skills so I can teach kids better? How can I become a better barista? It's all about personal progress. And I think as you progress, other people will realize, like, hey, this guy's onto something. He's actually creating pretty cool stuff. Let me help him out, you know. And you also got to realize, like, you know, how far can you go, and that's totally up to you.
How far you want to go, finding the right people, the right environment, taking the right steps. Absorbing the right things, right? Sometimes when it comes to music, movies, video games too, you know, I'm not saying like that these art forms cause people to you know, go crazy or anything. I definitely think like it has a part in it. So like I feel like a lot of you know, I was thinking about this the other day, man. There's this Call of Duty game, I think it was Modern Warfare 2. And one of the campaign missions, you're at an airport, and you know, you like kill a bunch of like innocent people like in the airport, you know. And this was before like school shootings were like a thing, or just shootings in general were like a thing. And I for sure believe that game had a part into I don't know if I want to say creating that, but a part in like numbing people to it happening,
developing it.
Yeah. Because now it's kind of like it like it happens so often. I feel that people are kind of like whatever about it, you know. And for me, for example, like, you know, maybe I'll be on YouTube and then it'll be like breaking news, you know, like a shooting in Texas or something like that, at a mall or something. And it's just like, man, whatever, man. Like I can't pay attention to this, you know, because it kind of like hurts, like it hurts like my soul in a way, because it's like, damn, here we go again, You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna watch like the video or anything, because then like what am I doing? Like what am I absorbing? You know, like it's like this chaos, you know. And I mean that's the thing with like the news in general,
Yeah.
man. And like my mom watches the news all the
Yeah.
time. It sucks.
I
you
was
know?
just about to say that, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And like I tell her, you know, and she's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, yo, what should I do?
She's probably so used to it. And
Yeah.
even my parents too. Like my dad watches the news in Puerto Rico, like Puerto Rican news. We didn't live in Florida. Like why? Because I mean, it might have to do with the fact that he misses being over there.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it's like they've been doing this for so long, and their parents did it for so long that it's just like what you do when you grow up, right?
Why do you think? How is the crime? Like I don't know if I want to say crime rate, but how is it over there when it comes to like I don't know, I guess violence, maybe shooting.
So as like in the U.S., you hear a lot of crazier stuff.
Mm.
I mean, yes, there is shootings, but it's mostly due to the fact that people are selling drugs. It's more like involved with alcohol. Like this guy cheated on his wife, so he's gonna shoot him. It's more due to the fact that this guy was selling drugs, and then there's people around, and then they went to go, shoot him, and then they ended up shooting other people. So it's more like involved with alcohol and drugs and sex, pretty much.
Okay, yeah. Or you hear it's more kind of like random. It could happen at random. Something random could happen, right? Like somebody just kind of can get frustrated with whatever they're dealing with, and they take it out on.
Yeah, but I think those are more rare. And I just think you don't hear much about like school shootings and stuff like that over there.
Yeah, I don't think that happens in like other countries. I think, I think most like Latin countries, most of them are like drug related, and
yeah,
I don't know exactly why. I don't know if it has to do with the different classes from. I don't know, man, because you also have slavery in the Caribbean, in South America as well. So with that, you have different classes, right? You have mestizos, you have Black, African, and then you had kind of like the European kind of thing. So with I don't know, maybe I think that with those classes during that time, it kind of evolved into like, all right, this is the ghetto now, and in order for them to make money, we're gonna like dump these drugs. I mean, you hear about like the CIA like during like the 80s, being involved in cocaine, the crack cocaine, and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I kind of wonder about that, like, because it definitely didn't happen accidentally. Like, oh, every ghetto now, is involved in like drugs, and with that comes like power, like structures. So you have different kind of like either gangs or like cartels, or like mafias, and they kind of run like that area, and maybe they pay off certain politicians and all that kind of stuff. So it gets into like politics and all that, and I don't know. That sounds crazy, man. Especially with like the whole thing with what's his name, big time drug dealer Pablo Escobar. Yeah, him in like Colombia, and he kind of like he was trying to run for president, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I'm not an expert on this. I'm sure my dad kind of is, just because because my dad has seen so many like Netflix series, and he's watched documentaries. I guess he considers himself an expert.
Well
informed, but it's kind of funny, man, because like. It's really interesting, I think, to me and to my dad, just because, like, when you, for example, the series Narcos, right, where it's like Pablo Escobar's story, it's just kind of, to me, it's really interesting. And I guess it sounds bad because he did a lot of, like, bad shit, but when you look at it from the aspect of,
this guy that came from nothing, maybe?
Came from nothing.
And now he has his own prison?
He has his own prison. He was, I think, the 7th richest man on earth. And it's just like, it's just interesting. The whole, like,
mostly off of trafficking drugs too.
drugs.
So if you think about worldwide, you think about like the people that have like billions and billions of dollars from generational wealth too. I mean, oil money, you know, that kind of stuff. It's like, yo, what kind of power do they have? You know, and I feel like mostly those people are like in the shadows. They don't show themselves.
Exactly.
You know, they're not on social media.
You know what's crazy, bro? Like I met this guy, right, and I met him at Publix. For those who don't know, Publix is
It's the place to go.
It's the place to go in Florida,
Yeah.
down here in the south. Classic, man. So I met him at Publix. I met him because he was driving a McLaren.
Okay.
Right, and a McLaren's a pretty expensive car.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was, I saw this McLaren. I've never seen it. It was around this area, this local Publix. So I was like, damn, McLaren. So I like went to it, and then he turned to Publix, and we were in the parking lot. I was like, fucking, I parked right next to him. So I was like, hell yeah. This guy walks out, and he was literally dressed like a farmer.
Wow.
He was dressed like a farmer, old man, probably 80 something years old. So I started talking to him, and he lives in Groveland, which is where I live, right? And he literally lives in the woods. Drives a McLaren, and I mean, I don't know how much money he has. I don't know, you know, but.
Do you think he lives in a tent?
No, he doesn't.
Probably,
I don't think
he probably has like a camper.
He probably lives in the car, bro.
He probably hit the car in the wood. He bought some land, bought a McLaren, bro.
Yeah,
Yo,
lives in the McLaren.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy because, like, I saw him one day. He turned to, like, it's just how someone who has money, but you would never know. It's not like the people now where they're like exposed and they're millionaires and they're like in the light of social media, but then
flashing everything. Right?
Yeah, and then you don't realize like how many people are also millionaires who don't even touch social media or even
buy nice watches or like just flashy.
Or maybe they have them, but they don't like show them off like people on social media. Like you would never know about them, right? And it's crazy. Like I think that it would be cool, like just being, you know, just having your own success in your own way, but like not having to prove it to anyone else.
Yeah, not having to show it off.
Not having to show it off. Just live your life, man. Just
you can get more problems that way too. Like you know, somebody could rob you. You know, somebody could try to bring you down. A lot of people don't like seeing people succeed. You know, they could do something kind of like make you stumble in your path.
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty interesting.
He was a humble guy. Yeah, and then like I think social media is good to empower others and like help other people.
Spread awareness too.
Spread the word, spread awareness. And then there's like negative downsides, and I think we just gotta train our brain to look at the positive in anything.
Use it for like your benefit, like, you know. If you can, it's just another tool, I guess. I mean, you can get caught up in it, like, and just kind of you could feel down maybe when you see somebody else's success. Like that's something that could happen, you know. You could just be posting yourself just to show people that you're still here, that you're alive, and all that. You can do that.
Yeah. Or just record your life, like
share yourself.
Share yourself, and
you could share too much sometimes, and that could kind of end you up in some trouble, or something like that. It's bad memories or something. But with me, man, like I when I first got usually Instagram. I think I like Instagram the best out of all of them, cause it's pictures, and then I mean now it's videos, now it's lives, now it's stories and all that. I think it's cool to share. I feel like for the longest time, for years, I had nothing to really share You know, now I just kind of take pictures of whatever I think is cool, you know, and kind of like edit it, like I heavy edit them. And I was actually inspired by this one guy. They called him Razor, right?
Okay.
And this guy was like maybe a year older than me. He was like kind of like a skinny guy, curly hair. And I met this guy a couple years ago. I met him at a gas station. I met him at a 7-Eleven. And he was living in his van. He had this van. And I remember like just meeting him. And he said he had his van for sale. And I was like thinking about buying it, you know? Like, okay, dude, I could like totally buy this. And if something happens, I could live in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd have like so much room, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I could have a whole setup over here, dude. It'd be super dope. But he ended up selling it to like somebody else, like a really close friend of his. And so yeah, he had his Instagram, man, and he wouldn't post much, but the stuff that he would post, I couldn't really tell what it was. And I mean, this guy was super bright, man. I thought this guy was like a wizard, man. Like he was really like, dude, like super insightful, you know?
Okay.
And so yeah, he ended up getting rid of his van and he started living in the woods, like around here in Claremont, right? And he would just meditate all day, and then sometimes he'll go to like McDonald's, kind of hang out. He'll go to the park, you know, and I would like see him, you know, kind of like talk to him. Sometimes just hang out, not even speak, you know, just like his presence was like powerful, you know. And man, he all you do is meditate, man. He was really interesting, man. He really like inspired me. He helped me really believe in myself, man. He actually said that my soul was like Cali, right? California. And I thought that was really interesting, man. It was kind of bold for him to say, you know, because like, man, I've never been to California, you know. It'd be cool to go, yeah. But what do you mean exactly, you know? And he also said that I was the city, which I thought was even more bold. He said I was Claremont, and I thought that was really interesting. I was like, whoa, that's kind of heavy, you know? So he definitely like inspired me, you know, and like he ended up going to Cali because that was what like his plan was. I think he like took some acid and was like, all right, if this goes right, like I'm out. You know what I mean? So I don't know what he did, but he did it, you know. he went to Cali, he took a bus to Cali.
If this goes right, I'm out of here.
Dude, he's out, bro. He left. It went right, you know. Right. And so yeah, dude. So it's somebody that I really kind of look up to, really like respected. And a lot of the times our conversations, it'd be so like powerful that I couldn't even understand it. You know, it was kind of like, whoa, okay, let me just sit here for a minute.
You have to like let it sink in.
Yeah, I had to really sink in and kind of like, whoa, dude, yeah. So I was really inspired by him with the whole Instagram thing, because like a lot of the times I didn't know what it was he was posting, but it looked really cool, and I could tell it had some kind of meaning to it because he was just such a meaningful person. So I was really inspired by that, and so I lean more towards like heavy editing, but you can kind of still tell what it is. It just like kind of looks cool, like the colors, you know. So that's kind of what I've been doing with one of my Instagram pages. I have another one that's kind of more focused on my music, but I don't post as often just because what I want to post usually is something that is like a project, you know? I don't want to just post myself playing, just post myself singing, you know, even though I posted a video today of me playing a little bit, just to like add something to it, because I hadn't posted in a while. But that's mainly what I post, you know. But I would like to start going live more, you know, just to kind of express myself, even if it's in like every 2 days, every 3 days or whatever, you know, just to be like, look, man, I went to this today, this is how like I felt about it, and kind of give advice off of that. I think that'd be pretty cool, man. So I might start kind of interacting more. I feel like I don't interact enough with the people who I follow and people that follow me. So I think I'd like to kind of get more into that.
I think you'd be surprised to see like who you can reach with social media.
Wow.
Like I've reached CEOs, I've reached people who have 200 and some followers, and then they're like people that you actually follow. You're like, holy shit, like, what the hell? Why are you replying to me? Like,
Yeah,
what the hell?
Wow.
And it's just crazy. Like you never know, bro. You know, like.
I had a couple people like watch my stories with like blue checks. Like I had this actress, she was in like The Walking Dead, I think. So she kind of like was like,
You see?
it was a couple times she like looked at my stuff and I was like, whoa, okay. Like how did you find, you know, how did you find me? How did you find this story? It's kind of weird. Like I was kind of asking myself that. And yeah, a lot of different artists too, man. There's a lot of art in there, you know. Well, I mean, I follow a lot of art, so I'm just gonna get a lot of that back. But I don't know. I mean, I'm expanding for sure, and I'm still finding my way to like kind of present myself, you know. But I feel comfortable now. I'm at a level where I feel comfortable being who I am and kind of just not caring like what people say or if people judge. And usually, I feel like it's just me thinking people are gonna judge, you know. And I don't know. I'm just like in a much comfortable place where I can really express myself, you know, and it's all true, like it's all truth, you know, it's really pure. It's not like, it's not fake, man. I don't like lying, man. I don't like getting caught up in like lies. It's like getting tangled up in like, you know, or just putting out false information, like being like a manipulative person, bro. Like it's crazy, man. Some people will like, I don't know.
Yeah, and you're never gonna get anything good out of that. I think in the long run, you're never gonna get anything. You might get something like in the moment, you know, some like feedback or something. But in the long run, like someone's gonna find out like you're just
a crappy person.
Yeah,
man, you know what I mean. And then you're gonna be lonely, you know. Like I feel, you know.
I don't think there's anything good can nothing good can happen from being negative or like doing negative things. Just negativity.
Yeah, that's just
right.
Just so like way from
it.
You know what I mean?
And then
that's true.
So I think the only reason would be like if someone had done something to you, and then you want like that negative, you want a negative outcome for that person, but then that makes you a negative person.
Right. Yeah. You're kind of like taking in that energy and wanting to
use it,
but you feel it. So now it's kind of like you know, you're not doing yourself any good.
Yeah, you're not, because you're becoming who you don't want to become.
Yeah, that stuff is crazy.
And that's how like I guess you just have to be self-aware.
I'm still learning like with that, but I think I'm getting pretty good. I got my car stolen like a couple years ago. Yeah. And I kind of like let it go, you know, like super easy. And there were moments in time where I was like, I felt really like a hatred for this person, you know.
So you knew who it was?
Yeah, I knew who it was. And it was really like my fault, you know. Like, why was I around this person? Like, why'd you try to help this person out, man? Like, you know. And just, I don't know, it's hard with like addicts. Don't trust, you know. I don't want to say don't trust drug addicts, but, you know, be careful, you know.
Be
on
really
alert.
Aware.
Yeah, be really aware, because, you know, they could steal your car.
They could steal your car.
And I had like everything in that car, man. I was actually like living in my car at that time. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. But it really like, it definitely humbled me, man, in a way, because it's like, all right, like I'm still here. Like this just makes my story just more interesting. You know what I mean?
It does, man.
Like I'm not gonna die right now because my car got stolen. I'm not gonna, like, my life is not ruined. You know, I have a family, you know, I had friends, you know, I had myself. Like I had my abilities, my creativity, my talents, you know what I mean? That still need to be polished and that's still gonna be able to grow. So letting that go and not stressing over it, you know?
And
it
this,
definitely helped me.
I think this is something really key, just because I think that's really important, because you, like anyone who would be living in a car, it's like, I'm not saying, I mean, shit happens in life, and you gotta live in a fucking car, like that's what you gotta do, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that you had, like, I guess people would consider that like a really low point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it was like that time. It was kind of low. It was low in a way, but it was really. I felt a lot of freedom in that, because now I was really homeless. You know, now I didn't have a car to be in. I didn't have a place to really move around. You know, so after that, I was like really living in the woods for a little bit, right? But it gave me this freedom of like, okay, well, I don't care about fucking rent. I don't care about bills. I don't care about making money. You know, I don't care if people judge me. Like, it was this weird freedom, you know. And after that, I think a couple of weeks after that, I kind of hitchhiked to Cocoa Beach, you know, just to kind of be like, look, I don't have anything to worry about. Like, let me just do something else. So I was with like a group of people, and we took a bus to Orlando, the east side, you know, and we took the bus as far as it would take us, you know what I mean? And then we just started walking, dude. Like, we found like a cart, we put like all of our stuff in the cart, you know. I had this huge bag, you know. I brought my skateboard too, just in case, right? And dude, we walked. I don't know how long we walked. We maybe walked like for 3 days before we got a ride.
oh,
Yeah, we ended up like Titusville. No, that was like on the way back. And we just found like woods to like sleep in. We had like tents and all that. And I remember at the bus stop in Orlando, we were talking to this guy at the gas station. And he was just smoking weed, bro. Not at the gas station, the bus station.
Okay.
And they just gave us like half the blunt, so we're like, oh shit, we finna party tonight, yeah. And then we just got high like later that night, man, and played Uno or something, I don't know. And dude, it's crazy. We ended up in these one woods, and there was like this pipe on the ground, and then like we kicked it, and like these hornets just came out of nowhere, bro, and they stung the fuck out of us, dude. That was really crazy, man. That was a really funny moment. It was really interesting. So then we got picked up. We made it to Cocoa Beach. I met up with 2 friends from high school, and that night we kind of just partied like the whole night until like the sun came up. Man, we saw the moon rise and it was red, and I've never seen that in my life.
Okay.
Like I was just like shocked, you know, like dude, what the? I was so in like that moment, you know, and it was just crazy. It was a crazy feeling. It was like whoa, like it felt really liberating, man. Really, to be honest, and just being in the water at that time, it was really like mystical, man. Like it'd be like in the ocean. It was almost like this feeling of like being like pulled towards it, you know. It was like this feminine energy, like in a way where it's like
attracting.
Yeah. It was like pulling me to like the ocean,
seducing you, man.
In a way, dude. It was crazy, dude. It was crazy. But you know, then like what happened? We ended up coming back. On the way back, we went to Titusville. We ended up in Titusville. We met this like drunk guy, and he's trying to tell us about Titusville. He's like, "Oh, Daniel Tosh from Tosh Pointno's from here, and this and that, da da da." I'm like, okay, that's cool. He's like, "Yeah, dude, and like there's like a skate park around here. It's like not that far. Like you should go, da da." So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna definitely make that my plan, you know, before we leave.
Right.
So like the next day we woke up, and the next day was like the day of the eclipse. It was an eclipse happening. I remember that.
Oh, okay.
So we like ended up going over there, and just skating over there, man. Just really having no worries, man. The eclipse was pretty crazy. It was wild, like the way that light kind of made everything look. It was kind of like a different filter, right? That was really cool, man. And then what happened? Then I ended up coming back, and after that, man, I went back to my mom's crib, just because it's like, you know what, man, I can't be can't be out here no more.
Right.
I can't be.
Yeah.
I gotta make different moves. I gotta take different steps and all that. And yeah, eventually, like, the cops found my car in Groveland.
I had nothing to do with it.
Better not, bro. You owe me, son. But none of the stuff that I had in there was in the car. So
right, yeah.
My acoustic guitar, my guitar pedal, my wah pedal, my Xbox, which I didn't really care for, whatever, but still. My laptop at the time, which was really neat. I had like so much music. I had like such a big library of music. Clothes, a bunch of stuff, man. But I mean, I don't really stress about it. I don't even think about it, to be honest. But it's interesting to talk about, you know.
Yeah.
Just don't trust, man. These drug addicts. Don't. You know what I mean?
And I think for the next recording, I think I want to dive deeper into your story.
Okay.
Into more of like, you know, what you went through, like what you want to deliver, to what you want other people to know, and then what you're doing now, and then how, like, what you're doing now, and then where you want to go.
Okay.
Right. Just because, like, that way, you know, I can give people, or we can have people follow you, and they could just follow your journey and just know, and maybe they can resonate with your story, and
maybe like relate in some way, you know, like, even if it's in like small ways. By the way, my Instagram is Facundo Bertone. So
I will put that in the description.
Yeah. Maybe like if you could have like a little banner or something like that.
I'll make something happen.
But yeah.
I'll make something happen.
Yeah. That's a way to reach me. That's kind of like the main account that I use, you know. So
yeah. I will post. Well, I will write all that in the description, and yeah. So we're coming up on the end of this first podcast. Kundo, it was dope to have you in the podcast.
It was an honor to be here, man, to be a part of it. It really be like kind of like the first, you know, kind of guest. Like
first pod, man.
It's a huge honor, man, for me. To be
yeah.
honest, because I can see this going like
taking
off. So